Let's jump back to the previous console generation and talk about a game that's in my favorite genre of all. It's a shoot 'em up. It was put out by Limited Run Games. I have the collector's edition of it, and it's Darius Burst Chronicle Saviours. Normally I'm a big fan of Limited Run Games collector's editions, but this one's not one of their better ones, I have to say. And I did stream my first impressions of this. I, and all the viewers watching, were really overwhelmed by all of the game modes. And I will also say that I was not really enjoying this game until I learned how to use all of the different ships in the game. And they all play very differently. I'll get into that a little bit later. But once I found a few I liked, I was hooked on the game a little bit more. Now, if you've never played the Darius series, the thing you hear about it the most is people arguing over how to pronounce the name. Is it Darius? Is it Darius? Is it Darius? I've heard all of these. I don't know what it is, and I've never heard a consensus on it. We're just gonna go with Darius, because it sounds like I know what I'm talking about. It sounds more sophisticated. But the series is centered around just standard side-scrolling fare. And most of the enemies are spaceships or fish. If you didn't know that, Darius is about fighting fish spaceships. All the enemies are aquatic critters. Turtles, fish, sea anemones, nautilusi, nautiluses, of course, duh, starfish, all that sort of stuff, crabs, lobsters, those sort of things. If you're into killing aquatic animals, you might love Darius. Now, the other claim to fame is that back in the 80s, when these were arcade games, they had like 3 CRT monitors. So 3 freaking arcade monitors side by side. So it's this huge aspect ratio. I don't know what it is, but it's not like, 16 by 9. It's like 64 by 9 or something like that. I don't know what it is. It's crazy. And on a modern setup, it looks really cool, although it is like ultra super mega letterboxed. The other thing that Darius does is it allows you to select routes through stages. So there are 3 starting stages: easy, normal, and hard. And when you get to the end of it, you can go to a harder or a slightly easier stage and route your way to the end, which is a cool idea. I love it. But in this game, it's kind of I don't know, I'm not the biggest fan of it. There's only 3 stages, really. You just pick twice, and you can kind of move from easy into normal, or you can move from normal into easy, and you can find your way to the end. But it's not that long. The other issue with this is you don't get a chance to play all the stages and really experience them because they're locked to a specific difficulty, right? If you want to try out one of the hard stages, you can't play it on easy. You can't play it on normal. You've got to select the hard route to try it out. And while that's cool, I really just kind of don't like that. I wish the game, instead of it just being 3 stages selected out of a host of freaking 10 or whatever it is, I wish it was just like 7 good stages in a row that you could play on any difficulty. Now, the gameplay in this is normal. You've got your standard shot. Sometimes you have a secondary shot. There are no bombs in this game, but you do have a laser attack. And some of the ships don't have the laser attack, some do. Some that have the ability to charge up the laser attack and let it out in one huge burst. Some have the ability to leave like a turret basically on the stage that will run till the power runs out. Some can do all 3 of those. Some can do none of those. They have a more powerful regular shot. There's just a lot to learn about the different ships, and I really enjoyed figuring out what they can and can't do. Now, let's talk about some of the aesthetic qualities of this game. The thing that's so crazy about this, and I guess they're all kind of like this, but I forgot about it, is the music selection. It is bonkers. It's the craziest soundtrack you probably ever heard. It has techno, smooth jazz, like ambient avant-garde music, Native American chanting, traditional Chinese music, like heavy metal. It's just so strange. And I guess, like I said, it is the standard for Darius, but I just can't get over it. I just can't get over it. It's cool, it's unique, but it doesn't really do much to like amp up the energy usually. It's usually pretty subdued and trance-like over something that's really pumping and driving and designed to get you moving, right? It's kind of just like weird. You just feel weird. You're like, I don't know what's going on. This is bizarre, and I don't know how I feel about it. Also, I mentioned the really extreme aspect ratio, and I have to say, while it's cool and it's neat to see like ships coming from 3 screen lengths away, I'm just not that big a fan of it. When you sit really close to your monitor, you can't really see the whole field because it's spread out so wide. Your eyes just can't cover that distance. And when you sit far away, I can't really see the bullets. My eyes are old and they suck now. I had a lot more success playing this game sitting and playing it on like a computer monitor than I did on my freaking huge 4K TV because I got to sit like a foot away and not 10 feet away. And I know that this is the traditional way they do it, but I'm not sold on it. That's the way to put it. I'm not sold. It feels like a gimmick over something that really makes the gameplay better, which leads me to one of the other modes of the game. Now, we've been talking about the arcade mode, but let me tell you about the Conquest mode. In this one, it's more of like an adventure game, really. You take on these different groups of challenges and stages from the arcade game to earn money and try to complete even more of the stages. And when I say there's a lot of stages, there are a lot of stages. There are over 1,000 stages, and some of them are twice as long as the actual arcade game. I looked at a guide for this, and people say that this mode can easily take between 60 and 120 hours to complete. That's a lot of content, but there's a problem with it. It's super boring. It's just boring. I could not get into it. It took forever to save up enough money to unlock some of the ships. And when you get the ships, they're almost completely unpowered. You have to buy power-ups for them to level them up, but it only lasts for one stage. So you're constantly spending the money you're earning just to like make the ship you've already bought unlockable. Imagine you're playing like Gran Turismo and you save up to buy the car you really want, and then before every stage, you have to pay to upgrade it every time, and the upgrades don't carry over. I don't get that. I don't get that. Now, there are a bunch of other modes in this game. Several. I'm not going to go into all of them, but there's just an insane amount of content here, more than I think I've seen in any other shoot 'em up, and that's saying a lot because I played a lot of shoot 'em ups, but it's just not that engaging to me. There's some online modes that nobody's really playing anymore. The main draw is still just the arcade mode and that Conquest mode. Now, I've struggled for years to get into the Darius series, and I have like all of them, but they're just not my favorite. And this one's no different. I think it's a good game, and if you're really into it and you love it, there's plenty here to keep you busy. But compared to some of the other shmups I played recently, this one just doesn't hold a candle to those. I think it's a good game, but it's not a great game. As a matter of fact, I would give Darius Burst Chronicle Saviours a 6 out of 10. It's a good game. I had fun with it. I 1 credit cleared it on normal, the easiest version of normal.